All right, welcome everyone to the House of Humane Letters read along of Tartuffe that will coincide with our upcoming episodes on the Literary Life podcast. Be sure to check those out once they air. You can find them wherever you listen to podcasts or at our website, theliterary.life. Tonight, our lovely actors have dressed up and they've changed their names on their Zoom profile. So we're so excited. Everybody gets really into this every time we do it, and we're so thankful to have you guys. Tonight, we'll be reading from Acts 1 and 2, and then next week, we will meet again, same time, to cover Acts 3 through 5. So without further ado, I will let Rachel, our session leader, take control and get this started.
Thank you, Etley. Tartuffe, or the Imposter. The scene is in the salon of Orgon's house in Paris. Act 1, Scene 1. Madame Pernelle, Flipote, Emir, Mariane, Dorine, Dame, and Clemente.
Come on, Flippo. Come on, out of this place.
I can't keep up. You set so fast a pace.
Daughter-in-law, I'll find my way out, please. I have no need for these amenities.
We merely show you the regard we owe. But mother, why are you so quick to go?
I can't abide the goings-on in there, and no one in the household seems to care. Yes, child, I'm leaving you, unedified. My good advice ignored, if not defied. Everyone speaks right out on everything. It's like a court in which misrule is king.
If
you're a maid, like many of your kind, too saucy and too quick to speak your mind. Nobody asks you, but you will be heard.
But
here is what you are, boy, in one word, a fool. I am your grandmother, I know. 100 times I've told your father so, that you were getting wilder each day, every day, and that you'd bring him nothing but dismay.
I think
his sister now, a startled fawn, too sweet to understand what's going on. Still waters may run deep, they're rarely pure. You can't fool me by acting so demure.
But mother,
daughter-in-law, let me say, you're doing everything in a bad way. Set an example for them to revere, as their late mother always did, poor dear. You spend too much, and I'm distressed to see you dressed the way a princess ought to be. If it's your husband that you seek to please, my dear, you don't need all these fineries.
But, madame, may I?
As her brother, sir, I love you and respect you, but if I were my son, her husband, I would make it clear that I preferred you anywhere but here. You preach a way of life to everyone that decent people really ought to shun. I guess that's pretty frank, but that's my way. When I feel strongly, I must have my say.
Monsieur Tartuffe is virtuous, no doubt.
He is a good man. You should hear him out, and I am irritated through and through to hear him criticized by fools like you.
What? Would you have me sit back overawed by that despotic, sanctimonious fraud? And may we have no fun, no merriment, unless that gentleman deigns to consent.
He loves to preach an ethic so sublime that anything we do becomes a crime. He frowns on everything and runs it down.
And everything he frowns on earns his frown. He leads the way to heaven, and my son shouldn't make you love him, each and every one.
Not even father ever could compel me, grandmother, to wish that fellow well. I can't speak otherwise and be sincere. I can't abide the things I see and hear. I see a showdown coming with that lout, and he and I will have to have it out.
I think it's scandalous, a real disgrace, to see the stranger seize the master's place. When he came here, for shoes he hadn't any, and all his clothes were hardly worth a penny. And now this beggar's acting like a king, wanting to be obeyed in everything.
Things would go better here, if you ask me, if you were governed by his piety.
You will make him a saint, but I submit that he is nothing but a hypocrite.
Ah, what a tongue!
Him and Laurent, his minion, you can't trust either one, in my opinion.
Oh, for his man, I haven't any proof. I'll guarantee the virtue of Tartuffe. The reason you dislike him as you do is that the things he says to you are true. Sin is the only thing that makes him burn, and heaven's interest is his sole concern.
So be it. But just recently, how is it that he opposes any sort of visit? Does this so anger heaven against us that he must put up such a dreadful fuss? I'll tell you what I think between us here. I think he's jealous of Madame Elmire.
Be still, and take some care of what you say. Others condemn these calls in the same way. The consequent commotion and uproar, the carriage is forever at your door, the racket the assembled lackeys make, these things keep all the neighborhood awake. In all of this, there may be no real harm, but people talk. That's reason for alarm.
What then, madame, would you forbid their chatter? I think that it would be no laughing matter if in our fear that gossip might ensue, we had to bid our dearest friends adieu. And even if we did this and stood by it, could we, do you think, keep the whole world quiet? To gossip seems to be a human need. Our best protection is to pay no heed. Let's live in innocence as best we may, and let the gossip mongers have their say.
Our neighbor Daphne and her little mate, are they the ones who are so quick to prate? Those whose behavior is most asinine are always more than ready to malign. They always take the greatest satisfaction in spotting the most innocent attraction, and joyfully go off to spread the news, twisting it in whatever way they choose. They paint other man's deeds a darker tone, thinking thereby to justify their own, hoping to blur the contrast and present their own intrigues as wholly innocent, or else to cast on someone else's name part of the burden of the public blame.
All right, criticize Daphne all you want, but how about the virtuous Orante? She thinks of heaven alone, and her devotion, I hear, makes her condemn all your commotion.
A fine example, quite without a peer. It's true that now her life is most austere. Her years have brought her purity, but still she's only virtuous against her will. As long as men were at her beck and call, she took advantage and enjoyed it all. But now, her charms not being what they were, she wants to leave the world that's leaving her, and put on virtue as a proud disguise to hide her faded beauty from our eyes. There are the tactics of the modern flirt. She hates to see her gallant swains desert. Uneasy in her dreary solitude, she finds her one vocation as a prude, and people feel this worthy woman's sting. Forgiving nothing, blaming everything, she rants against the morals of the age, not out of charity, but jealous rage, determined for all others to destroy the pleasures she no longer can enjoy.
Amia, these are the fairy tales that please your ear. No one else has a chance to talk in here, while Madame Chatterbox goes on all day. But all the same, I mean to have my say. And taking in that pious man, my son, did much the wisest thing he's ever done. I tell you, he is truly heaven sent, in your dire need to make you all repent. For your salvation, listen to Tartuffe. Whatever he reproves deserves reproof. These visits, dances, chats in which you revel are nothing but inventions of the devil. Here no one speaks of any pious matter. There's only idle talk and songs and chatter. The neighbor usually gets his share, as universal slander fills the air. Besides, a sober person's head goes round. At such assemblies, just from all the sound, for everyone at once must have his say. And as a preacher said the other day, it really is the Tower of Babylon. For all the people there just babble on. And then to illustrate his point, he spoke, laughing already, sir. Well, it's a joke. Go find your silly friends and laugh your fill. Farewell, Moliere. I have said all I will. I could say more about this house, but then you will not catch me in it soon again.
She slaps Philippote.
Come on, you slut. Stop gaping at the moon or else I'll slap some sense into you soon. Come on now.
Scene 2, Clemente and Dorine.
I won't see her to the door for fear she may start in on me once more. My, that old lady.
Really, it's a shame that she can't hear you call her by that name. She'd surely tell you that you're quite a wit and that she's not yet old enough for it.
What a fuss over nothing. What a blast. And what a spell her dear Tartuffe has cast.
You think she's bad? Wait till you see her son, and you'll admit that he's the crazy one. During our civil wars, he showed good sense and served with courage in his king's defense. But since he's taken Tartuffe as his hero, his sanity has been reduced to 0. He calls him brother, holds him far above mother, wife, son, or daughter in his love. There's not a secret he will not confide to him as his spiritual guide. He pets and spoils him with such tenderness, a mistress would be satisfied with less. Gives him the place of honor when they dine, and beams to see him eat enough for 9. He saves the choicest bits for that man's part, and when he belches, he says, "Bless your heart." In short, he dotes upon his dear Tartuffe, worships his goodness, quotes his words for proof, sees miracles of virtue in his ways, and oracles in every word he says. Tartuffe, who knows his dupe and means to use him, has countless saintly poses to bemuse him, receives good sums, thanks to his pious mask, and has the nerve to take us all to task. Even his servant, a presumptuous fool, treats us like little children in a school. He deafens us with wild-eyed homiletics and confiscates our ribbons and cosmetics. Finding a handkerchief a while ago, inside a fleur de sens he tore it so, saying it was a frightful crime to pair a holy object with the devil's snare.
Scene 3. Elmire, Mariane, Demi, Clément, Dorine.
You're lucky that you did not stay for more and hear the speech she gave us at the door. But here's my husband. I'll go up and wait and try to greet him in a proper state.
To save his time, I'll merely say hello to him down here, and then I'll have to go.
Sorry. One thing, you know my sister wants to marry. Tartuffe seems anxious that her plans miscarry and forces father to procrastinate. You know my interest in all this is great. Just as love binds my sister and Valere, as you know, for his sister, I've my share. Speak to him.
Here he is.
Scene 4. Orgon, Clément, Dorine.
Rather good day.
I'm glad to see you back, but I can't stay. I guess you miss the flowers and the trees.
Dorine, brother-in-law, one moment, please. Though, to be sure, I have no cause for fear. Let me find out what has been happening here.
To Dorine.
These last 2 days, how has everything gone? What are you up to? How is everyone?
Madame had a bad fever 2 days ago, and a headache that really brought her low.
Yes. And Tartuffe?
Tartuffe? Fit as a fiddle, red mouth, pink cheeks, and bulging at the middle.
Oh, poor fellow.
Then she had no appetite and therefore couldn't eat a thing that night. Her headache still was just too much to bear.
Yes, and Tartuffe?
Piously, with her there, he ate a brace of partridge like a flash, then half a leg of mutton in a hash.
Poor fellow.
Well, then the whole night went by without her managing to close an eye. Fever denied her even a wink of sleep. It was a night-long watch we had to keep.
Yes, and Tartuffe?
When he had supped, he rose, went to his room, already in a doze, got into his warm bed without delay, and slept his carefree fill till the next day.
Oh, poor fellow.
When we'd reasoned and we'd pled, she finally consented to be bled, and that gave her immediate relief.
Yes, and Tartuffe?
He struggled with his grief, and girding up his soul at any cost to make up for the blood Madame had lost, he drowned at breakfast 4 great draughts of wine.
Oh, poor fellow.
Yes, in short, they're both fine. I think I'd better go upstairs and tell Madame how glad you are she's getting well.
Scene 5. Orgon, Clément.
She's laughing in your face. Did you see her smile? Brother, I hesitate to rouse your bile, but I don't blame her in this situation. Who ever heard of such infatuation? And can you really be so hypnotized that you've forgotten all you ever prized, given him food, taken him in with you, and now you plan?
No more, sir. That will do. You're speaking of a man you do not know.
All right, I don't, if you must have it so. But if we ever really are to learn,
Brother, you'd be enchanted in your turn to know him. I can see it. Oh, I can. He's a man, in short, a man. Follow him. You will be serene, secure, and look on everyone as just manure. He guides me on new paths, in new directions, trains me to mortify all my affections, and liberates my soul from every tie. My brother, children, mother, wife could die, and I could see it without that much pain.
brother, your sentiments are most humane.
Ah, if that day we met you'd been on hand, you'd feel as I do now, you'd understand. Each day he came to church, meek as you please, and right across from me fell on his knees. He caught the eye of every person there, such warmth and zeal he put into his prayer. His transports were extreme, his sighs profound. Each moment he would stoop and kiss the ground, and when I left, he always went before to offer me holy water at the door. His man, who imitates his every deed, informed me of his background and his need. I gave him gifts, but in his modest way, he'd give me back a part and humbly say, "That is too much. That's twice too much for me. I am not worthy of your sympathy." And then when I refused to compromise, he'd give half to the poor before my eyes. At last, heaven prompted me to take him in. And ever since, how splendid things have been. I see him censure everything and take great interest in my wife, all for my sake. He warns me when men ogle her on the sly, and acts far jealouser of her than I. Upon himself he lays his hardest sentence. A trifle like a sin demands repentance. The merest nothing fills him with dismay. He came and blamed himself the other day, because while praying he had caught a flea and killed the creature much too angrily.
Good Lord, brother, you're mad, I do believe. Are you sure you're not laughing up your sleeve? Why, this is nonsense. Or do you insist?
Brother, you're talking like an atheist. Your soul's been spattered with free-thinking grime. I've warned you more than once. An ugly time awaits you if you will not change your mind.
These are the arguments of all your kind. Since they can't see, they think that no one ought. Whoever does is tainted with free thought. Whoever balks at pious affectation fails to hold piety and veneration. Come now, for all your talk, I'm not afraid. Heaven sees my heart, and I know what I've said. Your simulators don't disarm my wits, like courage, piety has its hypocrites. Just as we see where honor beckons most, the truly brave are not the ones who boast. The truly pious people, even so, are not the ones who make the biggest show. What? Do you really see no difference between devoutness and devout pretense? Do you want to give them both the self-same place? Honor the mask, just as you do the face. Equate artifice with sincerity and take similitude for verity. Isn't there any difference for you between phantoms and men, false coins and true? Most men are strangely made. They always stray out of the natural and proper way, projecting reason's bounds as limitations. They range about amid their aberrations. Even the noblest things they often mar by forcing them and pushing them too far. I mention this because it's apropos.
Oh, yes, you are a learned sage, I know. The sapience of the world within you lies. You alone are enlightened, truly wise. An oracle, a Cato through and through. All other men are fools compared to you.
I don't possess the wisdom of the ages, and I am not a learned sage of sages. My only knowledge and my only art is this, to tell the true and false apart. And as there are no heroes I revere more than those whose devoutness is sincere, and nothing worthier of veneration than genuine religious dedication, so nothing seems more odious to me than the disguise of specious piety, than those breast-beaters in the public square whose sacrilegious and deceitful air turns to its own advantage with a sneer all that men hold most holy and most dear, men whom the lust for gain has so possessed that they turn piety to interest and try to purchase honor and high places by simulated zeal and false grimaces. Those men, I say, whose vehement devotion by way of heaven seeks temporal promotion, who, while they pray, still manage to extort and preach of solitude, but stay at court, who know how to make zeal and vices mix, vengeful, quick-tempered, faithless, full of tricks, and when they want to ruin someone, make it seem they do it all for heaven's sake. Most dangerous in that their bitter hate makes use of weapons that we venerate, and that their zeal, which merits our applause, seeks to destroy us in a holy cause. Though far too many fakers meet our eyes, true piety's not hard to recognize. Even today, brother, there may be found admirable examples all around. Consider Ariston and Periander, Oronte, Alcidas, Polydori, Clitanda. No one contests their claim to piety, yet they do not parade their sanctity. Their modest zeal is never out of season, but human and accessible to reason. They do not lay about in all directions. They find excessive pride in such corrections and leave to others all the lofty speech, while all they do is practice what they preach. They do not censor every bagatelle, but judge with charity and wish men well. They don't promote intrigue or petty strife, but mainly seek to lead a virtuous life. Rather than rage against a reprobate, they think the sin alone deserves their hate, and don't espouse with such intensity the cause of heaven beyond heaven's own decree. These are the men that win my admiration. These are the models for our emulation. You know, your man is not at all like these, and you may vaunt his fervor all you please. I think appearances have led you astray.
Dear brother-in-law, have you had your say?
I have.
Your servant.
Starts to leave.
Brother, please don't go. One more thing. Valere has, as well you know, a promise of your daughter's hand from you.
Yes,
You had even set a date.
that's true.
Why do you put it off then?
Don't ask me.
Have you some other plan in mind?
Maybe.
You'd break your promise. Is that what you mean?
I don't say that.
But what could intervene to keep you from accomplishing your pledge?
Yeah, it depends.
Why not speak out? Why always hedge? Valere wants me to sound you out again.
Praise be to heaven.
What shall I tell him then?
Why, what you like.
But how can you delay? He has to know your plans.
I shall obey the will of heaven.
Oh, yes, so I've heard. But to the point now, will you keep your word?
Farewell.
This looks ominous for Valere. I'll go let him know what's in the air.
Act 2, Scene 1, Orgon, Mariane.
Marianne,
Father,
come over here to me.
what are you looking for?
He looks into a small closet.
I want to see that no one is around to overhear. It's a bad place for privacy, my dear. There, we're all right. Mariane, I've always found in you a spirit mild and duty-bound, and therefore I have always loved you dearly.
I'm grateful for that, Father, most sincerely.
Well said, daughter. Now, to deserve it still, you must aspire only to do my will.
In that regard, I'm proud to do my best.
Good. What do you think about Tartuffe, our guest?
I, sir?
Answer, but think before you do.
Alas, I'll say whatever you want me to.
That's a good girl. Then say, so I can hear it, that everything about him tells his merit, that you are fond of him, and would rejoice to take him as your husband, by my choice. Well,
Starts back in surprise.
What?
what's wrong?
You mean?
What?
Tell me, pray.
What?
Father, who is it I am to say I am so fond of that I would rejoice to take him as my husband by your choice?
Tartuffe?
But that's not so, I swear it. Why, do you want to have me tell you such a lie?
But you forget I want it to be true. My mind's made up, and that's enough for you.
You mean, Father?
I mean to bring Tartuffe into this family under this roof. He is to be your husband, that I swear. And since you owe...
Scene 2. Dorine, Orgon, Mariane.
What are you doing there? I gather that you find a fascination in trying to overhear our conversation.
There is a rumor going around here, chance or conjecture, I have no idea. But when I heard these two were to be wed, I just assumed someone was off his head.
What? Do you doubt it, then?
Indeed, I do. Yes, even though I've heard it now from you.
You will believe it soon before I'm done.
Yes, I know. You like to have your fun.
I'm telling you what soon you will attest.
Nonsense.
I
To
tell
Mariane.
you, daughter, it's no jest.
To Mariane.
Don't mind the games your father plays with you. Just jokes.
I say.
No matter what you do, they won't believe you.
I am getting mad.
All right, they will then, and that is too bad. What, sir? Can you, who always have appeared so wise with your mustache and solemn beard, be fool enough to try?
Listen to me. You give yourself a lot of liberty, my girl. I won't put up with it, I swear.
Now, let's not get excited, sir. There. How could you dream up such a silly plot? Your daughter for a bigot? I hope not. He has to have his mind on other things. Besides, what do you think this union brings? And when you are so wealthy, why select a beggar son-in-law?
What disrespect! If he is poor, that is no cause to sneer. His is a misery we must revere. He stands above our pomp by his austerity, since he has sacrificed his own prosperity by his disdain for all things transitory and his concern for true eternal glory. But my assistance may facilitate his restoration to his old estate. In his district, he holds important lands, and he's a gentleman just as he stands.
Oh, yes, he says so, and that vanity does not sit well, sir, with his piety. If holy living really is his aim, he should prate less about his birth and name. And true devoutness seeks a low condition which will not suffer outbursts of ambition. So why this pride? But you are looking grim. Enough about his rank. How about him? Is he the sort of man you could prefer to have possession of a girl like her? And shouldn't you consider what is seemly and fear the consequences most extremely? The danger to a girl's virtue is great when she is wed to an unwelcome mate. Her aim to live in modesty and honor rests on the type of man you wish upon her, and many a man with horns upon his brow has made his wife the person she is now. Fidelity is difficult, in short, towards certain husbands of a certain sort. Marry your daughter where she cannot love, and you'll answer for her sins to heaven above. The dangers of your enterprise are grave.
To
Now
Mariane.
I must learn from her how to behave.
Take my advice, and you do well enough.
Daughter, let's not waste time upon this stuff. I am your father, I know what's best for you. I had promised you to Valere, that's true, but I am told he gambles more than he ought, and, worse yet, I suspect him of free thought. I don't often see him at church, you know.
Should he go running there just when you go, like some who go there only to be seen?
I did not ask for your advice, Dorine. At all events, heaven views Tartuffe with pleasure, and that is, after all, our greatest treasure. This marriage will be all you could desire, full of sweet joys of which you'll never tire. You'll live together in your faithful loves, just like two children, like two turtle doves. No quarrel will take place between you two. You'll do with him just as you want to do.
She'll make a fool of him. Just wait and see.
What talk?
He's built for it, believe you me. Against the power of his horoscope, your daughter's virtue, sir, has little hope.
Stop interrupting me and just be quiet. We're minding our affairs. Why don't you try it?
I speak of this, sir, only for your sake.
Dorine interrupts Orgon every time he tries to turn and speak to his daughter.
Just hush. Spare me the interest you take.
If I didn't love you,
Just don't love me, pray.
I will love you no matter what you say.
Ugh!
Your good name fills me with too much pride to see you ridiculed on every side.
Quiet!
My conscience will not let me rest if I allow this match and don't protest.
Quiet, you serpent! Wipe that impudent smile!
Oh, so much piety and so much bile.
Yes, all this nonsense heats my bile, that's true, and I don't want another word from you.
All right, but just the same, my thoughts are there.
Think if you like, but better have a care. Not a word, or enough.
To Mariane.
Now, I have weighed everything wisely.
Silence, I'm afraid, will drive me mad.
Orgon turns his head towards her and she is silent.
True, he's no pretty boy, and yet Tartuffe,
That snout! Oh, what a joy.
without his other gifts, would be a catch well worth considering.
Turns to Dorine, crosses his arms, and watches her.
A splendid match. If I were she, no man would marry me against my will and with impunity. Soon after, I would make him understand that women have their vengeance close at hand.
To
You
Dorine.
disregard my orders, is that true?
What's your complaint? I'm not speaking to you.
Who are you talking to?
To me, that's all.
All right, to punish her colossal gall, I'll have to let her have the back of my hand.
Dorine is behind Orgon, encouraging Mariane to speak up and resist. At this, in each of the following pauses, Orgon turns and sets to slap Dorine, who each time either freezes, silent and motionless, or changes her signal to Mariane into an innocent gesture.
Daughter, you should approve of what I've planned. The man I've chosen for your fiancé.
To Dorine.
Not talking to yourself?
Nothing to say.
Just one more little word.
The word is mum.
I'm waiting for you.
I should be so dumb.
In short, you must obey the master's voice and show yourself compliant to my choice.
Pleading.
I wouldn't marry that man on a bet.
Orgon tries to slap her, but misses.
That pest will make me lose my temper yet. I'd best dismiss her to avoid that sin. I can't go further in the state I'm in. Her insolence has vexed me so, I swear I'd better go and get a breath of air.
Scene 3. Dorian, Mariane.
Well, have you lost your tongue completely, miss? And do I have to play your part in this? Let him propose a project that absurd and not combat it with a single word?
What can I do? My father is the master.
Do anything to block such a disaster.
What?
Tell him you can't love just on his whim, that you're marrying for yourself, not him. This is arranged for you, supposedly. Then you must love the husband, and not he. Tell him that if Tartuffe enchants him so, then he should marry him. We shan't say no.
I know, but father holds such awful sway, there's nothing I can bring myself to say.
Come, let's talk sense. You're courted by Valere. Well, do you love him now, or don't you care?
Oh, come, Dorine, be fairer to my love. You ask me that? What are you thinking of? I've held nothing back from you, heaven knows. Surely you know how far my ardor goes.
How do I know you're saying what you feel, and that your passion for Valere is real?
Truly, Dorine, you wrong me by your doubt. My sentiments have clearly spoken out.
In short, you love him?
I should say I do.
Right. And apparently he loves you too.
So I believe.
Your hearts are both on fire to join in marriage?
That is our desire.
About this other match, what is your plan?
To kill myself if I must have that man.
That's fine. I hadn't thought of that resource. Just die and end your problems. Why, of course. A fine solution. Oh, it drives me wild to hear you talking like a silly child.
Good Lord, Dorine, don't take it out on me. You're no compassion for my misery.
I've no compassion left for all this drivel. When once the chips are down, you simply shrivel.
But I'm so timid. What am I to do?
But love requires a touch of firmness, too.
I'm firm in my devotion to Valere. Surely father's consent is his affair.
But if your father's utterly insane, since passion for Tartuffe has rocked his brain and breaks his promise that you two should wed, why place the blame upon your suitor's head?
But if I show defiance to a parent, won't my love for Valere be too apparent? Shall I give up for all his charm and beauty the modesty that is a woman's duty? And is my love a thing you'd have me flaunt?
I wouldn't have a thing. I see you want to be Madame Tartuffe. I'd be unkind were I to try to make you change your mind. Why should I argue since you want this match? Just in himself he's certainly a catch. Monsieur Tartuffe. That's quite a thing to be. In fact, Monsieur Tartuffe, it's plain to see, is not a man to eat peas with a knife, and it would be a joy to be his wife. He basks in honor and in good repute. He's noble back at home, a handsome brute, with that florid complexion, those red ears. Think what delight you'll have over the years.
Good Lord.
Your soul will know eternal bliss, wedded to such a handsome man as this.
Oh, please don't torture me. I just can't stand it. How can we break this match when father's planned it? I give up. I'll do anything you say.
When father speaks, his daughter must obey, and even take a monkey for her mate. You've no complaint. You'll have a lovely fate. In his small town, a coach will take you round. His uncles and his cousins will abound, and you will find them a delight to meet. First, you'll be introduced to the elite. A round of jolly calls will fill your life, to the bailiffs and the tax collector's wife, who will patronize you with a folding chair. Then once a year, there's a dance at the fair with a big orchestra of 2 musettes, sometimes a monkey act and marionettes. Though if your husband...
Oh, you're killing me. I need your help and not this mockery.
Madame, your servant.
Dorine, I beseech you.
No, this will have to happen just to teach you.
Dorine, dear.
No.
If I declare my will.
Tartuffe's your man, and you shall have your fill.
You know how much I've always relied.
No, you shall be, my word, Tartuffeified.
All right, as long as that is all you care, henceforth leave me alone with my despair. In that at least my heart will find a cure. I know a remedy that's swift and sure.
She starts to go.
There now, come back. I can't be angry long. Do what you will, my pity is too strong.
If this cruel torture is what lies ahead, I'll kill myself. I'd far rather be dead.
Come, don't be so upset. This much is plain. We'll find a way. But here's Valere, your swain.
Scene 4. Valere, Mariane, Dorine.
Madame, a piece of news is going about. Unknown to me, but very fine, no doubt.
What?
That you're marrying Tartuffe.
Indeed, this is just what my father has decreed.
Madame, your father
has just changed his mind and now prefers this other match, I find.
Can he be serious?
Indeed he can. He clearly is determined on this plan.
And what have you in mind, this being so, Madame?
I do not know.
You do not know? Delightful.
No.
No?
What do you advise?
Marry the man. I'm sure that would be wise.
That's your advice?
Yes.
Honestly?
Indeed, this is a noble choice, which you should heed.
That's your advice, sir? Well, just as you say.
I think you'll follow it without dismay.
Just as you offered it, it would appear.
Madame, I offered what you wished to hear.
And I will do what you want me to do.
Dorine withdrawing to the back of the stage.
Well, let's see what this affair is coming to.
So that's your love? And it was make-believe when you...
No more of that, sir, by your leave. You clearly said I must not hesitate to take the man presented as my mate. All right, I'll do precisely that, I vow, since this is the advice you give me now.
Just don't make my intentions your excuse. You'd made your plans already, that's no use. This pretext that you're seizing is absurd to justify the breaking of your word.
Of course, well said.
No doubt, and in your heart, you've never really loved me from the start.
Alas, you're free to choose this explanation.
Yes, yes, I'm free, but in my indignation, I may decide to get ahead of you, and I know other girls who would be true.
Indeed they would, I've no doubt of it. Your merit.
Leave my merit out of it. I haven't much, your act is a reminder, but I have hopes of finding someone kinder, and I know one who will think it no disgrace to compensate my loss and take your place.
It's no great loss. You'll easily arrange to find your consolation for this change.
As you may well believe, I'll do my best. To be forgotten puts us to the test. We must forget in turn, even pretend, if all our efforts don't achieve that end. To show our love for one who's turned us down is to be both a coward and a clown.
Well, that's a noble, lofty sentiment.
And one to which all men should give assent. What, would you have me foster in my breast the love when you wanted you possessed? Am I to watch you seek another's arms and not console my heart with other charms?
No, that's exactly what I want. Alas, I wish it had already come to pass.
You do?
I do.
That's all I can stand. Madame, I'll go and do as you command.
Here and later he starts to leave and then returns.
All right.
Returning.
At least remember that it's you who's driving me to what I'm going to do.
Oh, yes.
And that by acting in this way, I follow your example.
As you say.
Enough. I'll carry out your wishes then.
That's fine.
You see me now, but never again.
Of course.
Goes, but turns back at the door.
Eh?
What?
Didn't you call?
Not I, you're dreaming.
Then, madame, my last goodbye. I'm off.
Goodbye, sir.
Well, if you ask me, we've had enough of this tomfoolery. I'd let you bandy insults to and fro to see how far the two of you would go. Signor Valere, hey!
She goes and holds his arm to stop him, and he makes a great show of resistance.
What is it, Dorine?
Come here.
No, I've got to vent my spleen. Don't turn me back from what she has decreed.
Stand still.
No, don't you see? We both agreed.
Oh, my.
He hates my sight. He wants to leave, and I'm the one should go, I do believe.
She leaves Valere and runs to Mariane.
Now you? Where to?
Let go.
You stay right here.
Dorine, don't try to hold me back. Do you hear?
Why, she's in torment at the sight of me. I'd better disappear and set her free.
Leaves Mariane and runs to Valere.
You again? No, you don't. Confound you two. Now stop this nonsense. Come here, both of you.
She pulls first at one and then at the other, bringing them together.
What are you trying to do?
Why all this bother?
To bring you back to sense and to each other.
To Valere.
Fighting like that. Are you out of your head?
Didn't you hear the heartless things she said?
To Mariane.
Aren't you a fool to work up such a passion?
Didn't you see him treat me in that fashion?
Nonsense on both sides.
To Valere.
Why, her only care is to preserve herself for you, I swear.
To Mariane.
He loves you, and he wants you for his wife. Above all else, and on this, I'll stake my life.
Why give me such advice? Now, was that right?
Why ask for it at all in such a plight?
Oh, you're both insane. Now your hands, both of you. Come on, you.
Valere giving his hand to Dorine.
What's that for?
All right, yours too.
Mariane giving her hand too.
What good will that do?
Heavens, come on, let's go. You love each other better than you know.
After a pause to Mariane.
It doesn't hurt that much, you must confess. Look at a fellow without bitterness.
Mariane glances at Valere here with just a bit of a smile.
To tell the truth, lovers are all insane.
But look, haven't I reason to complain? In all sincerity, weren't you unkind to enjoy driving me out of my mind?
If I've ever seen ingratitude.
Suppose we just postpone this little feud and try to block this marriage if we can?
Tell us, what shall we do? What is your plan?
We shall use everything we can invoke. Your father's mad. This thing is a bad joke. But you had best indulge his antic bent by the appearance of a meek consent, so that you may more easily prolong the waiting period should things go wrong. Time is the very best of remedies. At first your reason may be some disease, which, coming suddenly, demands delay. A bad omen will do another day. You dreamed of muddy water, chanced to pass a funeral, or broke a looking glass, and don't forget, however hard they press, you can't be married without saying yes. But you'd be foolish in this situation to let yourselves be seen in conversation.
To Valere.
Go on, get your friends busy on our side to make him keep the promises he's denied. We'll get his son to join us in the strife and try to gain assistance from his wife. Goodbye.
To Mariane.
For all the rest of us may do, the one I'm really counting on is you.
To Valere.
I can't be sure what father may decide, but I shall never be another's bride.
How happy you have made me, come what may.
Oh, lovers never run out of things to say. Come on, be off.
Valere takes one step back and then comes back.
In short,
no time for chat. You go this way and you go out that.
She pushes them by the shoulders towards the opposing exits.
All right. That was absolutely fantastic. Let's give everybody a round of applause. Just amazing. It's such a great reading. Thank you so much to our Lit Life players for reading for us. The reviews in the chat box they're rave reviews. They're pouring in. People are talking about Tony nominations. Just fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to see what happens next week. Thank you all for joining us. If you weren't reading and you want to get in on the fun next time, just be sure to, just keep up with what we're doing. And remember to check out the Literary Life podcast episodes on this part of the play. The first episode will drop tomorrow. You can find them wherever you listen to podcasts or at our website, theliterary.life. And don't forget to join us again next week when we cover Acts 3, 4, and 5, and we'll finish out the play. Thank you all for joining us, and have a great night.